If you don't do this step right here, you, my friend, will ruin your quilt. Hi friends, Tracy here from the Sewing Channel. It's been a couple of weeks that I've had time to think about what I'm going to do with my clown quilt that I'm making for my granddaughter. I spent so much time doing the big stitch hand quilting that I didn't want to mess this up. So I gave myself some time to really think on how I wanted to finish this quilt up. To catch you up to speed, I did end up free motion quilting the borders, the clown part of this quilt. This was after much thought. I had thought about doing the circles in the big stitch hand quilting. I had thought about doing some, wavy lines or something, even with the free motion quilting versus the big stitch hand quilting. In the end, I did decide to free motion quilt a big meander. Let me tell you why though. The center area on this quilt, it was the show. And I didn't want to take away or muddy things up with the border because the border was so busy. Honestly, you're not going to see any stitches in that border because of the busyness of it. The way I'm going to finish up this quilt with the binding, some of you, if you've been around long enough on my channel, you've seen me do this, but others of you that are new, stick around because I'm going to share with you how I do some Batman corner magic on this quilt. Enough talking already. Let's jump right in so we can get this quilt finished. The first thing that you need to understand about Batman self corner binding is that when you free motion quilt your quilt, you need to make sure that you do not go all the way to the edge. You want to leave about, 3/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch, of stitching that's not done there on the edge. That becomes very important when we go to trim this quilt, and I'll show you why here in a second. So we're going to work on this side right here, and this is all I've done, for prep for this video. The rest I'm going to do right here in front of you. The next thing you need to understand with this kind of binding technique is that you need to take this back piece and you need to really push it out of the way. If you don't do this step right here, you, my friend, will ruin your quilt. This is a must. Push this back onto itself. So you're going to take the backing, meet it with the other backing here, and just, lay it out. It needs to be totally away from this edge. So in order to keep it away from that edge, we may think that, oh yeah, we'll be able to do that. Yeah, we'll be able to keep that away. We're going to take some added extra insurance here. We're going to take our big basting pins, preferably the ones that don't have any of that circle thing on the bottom of them here on the one end, because when we go to lay our ruler down, this will help flatten that, because we can't pin all the way in, because of our backing, and our quilt top is quilted. So I'm going to take this pin, I'm going to come inward. I'm feeling on the back of my quilt here where, the edge of the backing is. Then I'm just going to take my pin in through all the layers and just pin that. So you can see here, this has been all, pinned away from the edge. So that's the first thing. Just to keep this clown quilt from clowning around on me, I'm going to roll the other side up that I'm not working with. So that way this is nice and rolled up and out of my way because I don't want it in my way when I go to do this right here. And this is the side that we've pinned. So we've pinned the backing out of our way. I have such a small space to work with, so yeah, it's hard sometimes. Now usually with my quilts, I start in the corners, but not on this one. We're going to go in with our ruler right here, and we are going to lay it down just on one side right here, the side that we have pinned. And, with free motion quilting and quilting in general, fabric shrinks up, so you're going to have some unevenness here. We need to make this even, best that we can. Sometimes, we're off about 1/8, 1/4, or some of us maybe, more than that. But you want to keep it pretty square if you're making a square quilt, or square on the edges anyways, so that it looks square. Pull that back a little bit so you can see a little bit better. You can see right here, I'm not going to show you her name and you really can't see it on camera, but it does say Mimi Loves. Well, I guess you'll know soon enough. But I don't want to give away the name just yet because she's not born yet, so You know, it just says Mimi Loves and then her name. I mean, I'll tell you her name afterwards, but you really can't see that on camera. But on all of the eyes, the letter I's, I did put heart and I embroidered that. So that was cute. And I didn't do a very good job because that was the first time I've ever embroidered words. So yeah, that was difficult. I need to learn how to do that, I guess. Okay, you're going to take your long ruler now and we're going to find what is the straightest because this has to come off right here. And this is all folded back, right? Remember? Okay. Oh, this is where I get nervous because I'm always afraid, like this right here is pretty close. So I need to be mindful of that one. And you know what? I might unpick that a little bit now that I'm looking at it. It's pretty close. So I'm just going to grab my curved snips and just go under there and break that thread. There we go. So that opens that up and our binding's going to be there anyway. So then I'm going to take this, I'm going to pull this back a little bit because I get nervous. I don't want to ruin this quilt. I really don't. So let's just check to make sure how far in we are. I mean, I'm not going to go really far in, but you know, I got to go enough in. This ruler is 6.5 inches, so it matches up pretty good here with this line on my quilt. And then you have this line going across here, and there's that line. So I think I'm going to use those lines and cut off that much of my border. And you can see here, I'm off a little bit here, so I'm going to have to find a middle ground. And sometimes you can pull your quilt, you know, if you didn't lay it flat already. Oh, this is where I get nervous, friends. I get nervous when I go to cut a quilt that actually means something to me or my kids or whatever, which sometimes they're just play fun quilts for me to make for the kids. But yeah, this one means a lot because this is their first quilt coming into the world. So I'm going to just look up through here just to make sure. So this is the part that juts out a little bit. So yeah, so this is going to get cut more on the angle there. So I'm coming up from this area right here, and I'm just going to cut this area first and then come back down to this. I know that backing is out of the way so I can cut it, right? Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Tracy. Don't be OCD about it, right? But I can't help but triple check. Okay, let's just do it. Let's just do it. What's the worst that could happen, right? Yeah, it could be bad. All right, so we cut that. Now I'm going to just shift this over here like so, so I can get this whole end cut. Get this line here as straight as I can, and actually that is pretty straight because this was the part that was throwing me off because it was sticking out so far. So yeah, we're good, I think. Pretty sure. I know, I got OCD or something, I don't know. Okay, let's get rid of that. There we go. Okay, so that is cut. Oh, look how close that was. Make sure all that's away. Let's go in here and just check her out. Okay, I think that looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and slice this so I can get over this OCD moment. Match it up here. We can see here that this one's going to be a little off here on the end, but not, I mean, I'll be able to get that straight. That looks straight. Let me just OCD check this. All right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I get nervous. Sorry. Okay. That is straight. That is straight. I'm going to come back in here and slice. Okay, no yellow. Yay. Let's take a look. Okay, we did it. We did it. We cut that. I'm going to do the other three sides. That last segment, oh, had my stomach in knots. So I'm glad that that's over. And I'm happy to report that none of my backing got caught up in that rotary blade. So we're good there. The next step is to cut the backing 1 inch precisely from the edge of our quilt top. I know, it's another nail biter, friends. How am I going to do that, you're asking, right? If I had a 1 inch ruler, really long one, that would be the ticket, but I don't. So I'm going to take my long ruler here that I do have. I'm going to measure from the edge right here, the batting and the quilt top only, because that's what we cut, remember. I'm going to measure 1 inch over and I'm going to slice it. Oh yeah, we're doing it. You want to get this one as precise as you can. I'm starting here in the middle of one of the sides, so if that helps y'all. So I'm going to cut it in pieces and portions. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to cut into this just like that. Get that out of the way there. I just want you to see there that that's what I did. Just cut 1 inch over. And I'm going to do that all around the entire quilt. This part is not as OCD as the last step, for sure. I hope that I'm not making this overly stressful for you. I mean, it's really not that stressful. I mean, the last step was, but it's, you know, it's just another technique to put in your arsenal of quilting, right? Almost done. We did it. We've gotten this far, so we're good to go. Next to the ironing station, you can see that 1 inch that's hanging off there. And for those of you that don't know, in my video on this, I did double up this gauze, so I have like quadruple gauze on here instead of double gauze, so just FYI. Plus I have a really thick batting too, but you can check out that video. I'll link it at the end. You're going to take this 1 inch piece and you're going to fold this in to meet that ledge of your batting and your quilt top. So I'm just going to come in with my Laura Star. You can check my links below on this awesome iron. And you're going to fold that in and give that a really good hot press. You want that crease to stay. I'm just going to go along here, because once I get it with my Laura Star, then I can go in, you know, because the Laura Star holds creases like phenomenally. When you get to the corners, this is what you're going to do. So you're just going to keep going just like you were, butting up the edge, the raw edges together. So see, it looks like that. I'm going to go in here in a second. I'm really going to press that good, but I probably won't be able to put that on camera, so just bear with me. But you kind of know what to do, right? You know how to iron, press, whatever. So then you're going to take this right here and just fold it like that. And this is just for creasing only. This is going to be a mitered corner, friends. This is in the end. It's not going to be one of these deals right here where you just fold over on each other. So you need to stay with me, because I really do think you are going to just love this self-binding Batman technique. So you're just going to keep going all the way around, just pressing that in. One thing I want to add, you know, I am using gauze, so it kind of looks a little wonky there at the corner, but it won't in the end. I mean, and if you're using regular cotton backing, it's going to be very precise for you. It's not going to look, you know, kind of wonky, because this is a looser weave, the gauze is, so. But I'm going to get it as nice and creased as I possibly can. So that's what you're going to do all the way around. So let me do that I'm going to break camera and I'll come right back. I made a quick mock-up of a quilt sandwich with what I've done to the clown quilt already. The gauze backing was too fiddly to show you on camera. I mean, I'll still show it to you. You're more than likely going to be doing it with regular quilting cotton. This is just some cotton warm and natural batting in the center of this mock-up quilt sandwich. I've taken this and done exactly what I've done with the gauze backing clown quilt. I just put a couple quilt lines on there to hold this together. You can see right there, there's the backing. And then this is the front of the quilt, and here's the cotton batting in there. I've taken and cut 1 inch around the entire quilt, just like I did on the gauze backing quilt. And then I've taken it to the pressing station, folded it up 1 time to butt up against, the edges are butt up against there. And then I pressed it real good, and I pressed the corners just like this. Over once, and then over twice. Now you do need a ruler with a 45-degree line on it. This particular ruler right here has 45-degree line there and a 45-degree line there. I'm going to come up to one of the corners as it's in this orientation with only 1 time folded up. Once you find the 45-degree marks on your ruler, then you're going to bring it in and lay it on one of your corners. Now, here I can use either line because I have 2 lines, so I can either push this over here and line it up on the edge of this folded fabric, or I can take and line this one up over here on this folded fabric right here, using that as my guide. I will lay it over here on this side. My 45-degree line is here, and it's lined up on one of the sides, one of the folded sides. Here's where your calculations come into play. You can make any size corner fold over that you would like. If I left 1 inch right here, that's the calculation that I'm going to cut off when I do my ruler cut. If I leave 2 inches hang over here, it's going to be a 2-inch cut on the corner here. So let me show you what I mean. Find the 45 mark right there. I'm going to come up right to the edge of my ruler, right here, finding the tip right there. It's barely peeking out. And this is all right there, lined up with 45. Since my tip starts on a half mark on my ruler where it's coming out so that I'm, all lined up, I know that I have to bring this up at least 1 inch. This is still lined up right there. This is that half mark that was down here on my point a second ago. This is the part that you need to gauge within there. If I count from this mark right here that I started, remember it's within that half of the 1. It's just the way my ruler is, I don't know. I'm going to go over a half, and I'm going to go over to the 1. Now you can see it's hanging off here. That means I need to pull back a little bit more until I get this mark from here to here to be 1 inch on both edges of my fabric. Keep going, and there, that's right there hitting the edge. So I'm looking right there, and I'm looking right there. So I'm looking at my ruler, and I'm looking at the edge of the fabric, and you can see there, that is 1 inch from this side to this side within the width of that corner. If I would have left 1.5 inches off, I would have kept pulling my ruler off now until it got to 1.5 inches, and that's what I would cut. Remember this one, we left 1 inches overhang, we folded it, and that's the cut that we need to make is 1 inches. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to slice right along there. When you pull that away, you should have a funny looking piece that kind of looks like that. Sometimes, the corners are just cut off, like on these 2 sides, but that's exactly what you should have. Now when I open this up, I might have a little piece that flecks off there and maybe one on the other side, depending on how I folded. This right here is the Batman ears. If you do not have the Batman ears, then you've definitely made a mistake. Once you have all 4 corners in their Batman style, you're then going to fold the corners back like this so that the backing is touching the backing here, and it's folded like this. And you're going to line these up so that they are matching perfectly. A pin down here just to keep these two down here together. Pin that. Now you're going to come in with your ruler and you're going to mark a 1/4 inch seam allowance from here to here in like an L shape. To take it over to your sewing machine, and you're going to start at the point. Now I start at the point area because you want to grab that first because it's at an angle, you know, it's on the bias there. So you want to go ahead and grab that first. I do a little back stitch. I do come in a little bit first, you know, if your sewing machine doesn't grab that right away. Then you're going to keep sewing the 1/4 inch. You're going to pivot here, and then you're going to sew that and back stitch there. Come in a bit and then back stitch, just so that, you know, your fabric doesn't get caught in, you know, underneath your plate there. Stop and pivot. And just like that. You're going to come in here and you're going to snip just like that, that bulk out of there, and you're going to do the same thing over there without hitting those threads. Then you're going to take right in the center there and snip down toward that V. Don't get too close though, you know, I want you to be a few threads away. Then you're going to come over here and just open these seams and just press these little seams. They should be just tiny seams at this point. And then flip it over, and then you should have this little seam right here that you can open. Once you have both those little seams pressed, then you're going to just stick this corner of your quilt top in with your finger and push it to the corner. Now you may have to grab, you know, like a pokey tool or something, and just, you know, push that point out right there. Once you push that point out, you have this right here. This is what this looks like. You're then going to take and push this flap in, and it shouldn't be too hard because you've already pre-creased everything, right? So it should not be hard at all. And you're going to fold it in like so. You can give everything a nice press, you know, all the way around if you like. Look at that mitered corner. Are you kidding me? I mean, that is awesome. Oh my goodness. The next step is to go around and, you know, from the front, you're gonna do a top stitch and tack this all the way down. Check it out, friends. Is that not a beautiful mitered corner, right? I mean, my quilt stitching on the back doesn't look that great with it, but of course I'd make sure my design wasn't so that that was all bunched up like this. This one right here, I did a little mock-up with just some flannel, and on this one I did 1 3/4 inch, and look at that. That gives you an awesome corner. I mean, it's beautiful. So yeah, let's jump over to the hand sewing footage of how I actually did tack down this gauze quilt backing onto the clown quilt. Let's get to it, friends. To help me out, I grabbed some double-sided 1/4 inch tape, the wash away kind, and I'm going to open it up and I'm going to lay it down here because I think that this is going to really help because my gauze is very loose, and yeah, I think it would work way better with cotton backing. If you are going to use gauze to back your quilt, this is the way that you would do a self-binding technique anyways. This would be the technique that you would use, because I don't think any other technique that I can think of would be all that great for the self-binding anyways. So yeah, this would be one that you would definitely want to use for that. When we back our quilts with Minky, it doesn't fray, so you can just lift this over and be done. So with this, you want to make sure that, you know, everything is tucked in there good, because this is definitely going to fray. So, all right, so then that's folded. You're going to press down and kind of pull and lift that up. and kind of just stick that to the double-sided tape. This is really going to help us. In my other tutorials where I shared this technique, I do use the double-sided tape too, even on the cotton, but I don't think you really need with the cotton. I don't know, maybe you do, but for this one, definitely. So you're just going to lay the tape down just like you normally would if you were doing anything else with it. And then you clip it away. And then you lift up the backing. Hopefully you can see. I just grab something like scissors or a pin and just peel it off like that. And you do it in small batches because it'll stick to everything. So you want to just cut small pieces at a time. So what this is going to do is hold this together for me while I hand bind this together. Yeah, that's totally going to help. I mean, clips would help too, but I mean, this stuff really does stick, right? So this works better, I think. So I have my needle here and I just threaded with regular sewing thread, and I did put a quilter's knot in the end there. Never hand sewn a binding on, so this is going to be fun, I think. So I'm not even sure where to start or where to go in at, to be honest with you, but I do have my knot, so I'm just gonna, I think I'm gonna go up and in here, I think. Okay. So that way the knot is hiding in there, I'm guessing. And then I'm gonna go ahead and grab the quilt top because you know, you have to have that, right? I don't know, guys. Oh no, because then you can see it, right? I don't know. I don't want to see it. If I'm going to do all this, I don't want to see it. Okay, so I mean, I'm kind of teaching myself right now. I haven't really watched any tutorials on this. So I'm going to go from the inside, I guess. Oh dear. I don't know. So that first stitch is probably the one that's the, oh gosh, that don't look right, does it? Okay, let me just see here. I mean, and plus I'm using gauze. I mean, of all the times to start hand sewing, right? You're binding on. I mean, that don't look right. That looks a hot mess in there. So, let me see. Maybe if I go up and in. Catch some of that. And then come back up. Okay, let's see, maybe grab that. I mean, how far apart do you go though, right? I don't know. I mean, I can see those stitches. Oy vey. So let me back up a little bit and catch that. Oh my goodness, I hope I'm not hurting my quilt. I can always unpick it, right? This is what I do though. I usually try stuff on my own first, and then if I can't get it, then I go in and I try to find a tutorial, you know, something to teach me. So I don't know, that looks a hot mess. Come from under. Oh no. I gotta get some kind of a groove though. Okay, I'm gonna pause this. We've seen how I work without a tutorial. Now I'm gonna go watch a video and and figure this out because I can't leave it like that. That looks a mess. All right, hold on, friends. Okay, friends, you would be so proud of me. So proud, right? So I went and I looked at a few videos because the first couple I was like, I was suspect. So I found a video and I was good with it. So I unpicked, and then this is what I've done so far. Looks way better than what I started with, right? So with this folded over like so, let me teach y'all what I just learned. You can see that it's coming out from only the quilt top area, right? You don't want to go all the way through either. You just want it just going through the batting in the quilt top. Once it's coming up out of the quilt top, you're going to come right above that area and you're going to take about a 1/4 inch stitch through the binding crease only. And then you're going to come back down here and you're going to go through the quilt top and batting only right where that is at a 1/4 inch stitch, just like that. Then you're going to come out here from where it comes out of the quilt top and the batting. You're going to grab it right above there in the crease of the binding, right? I mean, I'm telling you, I am a quick learner. I guess, I don't know. I still don't know if I'm doing it right, but okay. Looks decent though, looks better than it did. So above here, I'm just gonna take a stitch, 1/4 inch, come out. And if any of you have tips and tricks on this, go ahead, leave them below. You know me, I'm open. I will take all the tips and tricks I can get. So right above there, I'm going to take another 1/4 inch stitch in the crease, come back out, pull it taut, and then right below where that thread is coming out, I'm going to take another stitch. And I'm going to keep moving forward here. So that way, every time I come out, you can see that one there, I'm moving right above this stitch, starting it, and then grabbing that 1/4 inch. So I'm just moving along, so to speak. And then from where that comes out, then I'm going to grab this one, whoop, grab that, and then pull it. And then, you know, just keep going. I don't know. Am I doing it right? Oh my word. I don't know if I am or not. But, hey, they look pretty decent. I don't know. It's going to take me a minute. It's the first time I ever done this, friends. So, yeah, let's take a look. I mean, I don't know, like you can barely see those stitches, and this right here is that gauze, so I mean you'd be able to see it, right? And there's absolutely nothing on the back, which is what we want, and that's going to make a nice little fluffy bind there. I feel so proud of myself when I learn something new. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, I'm going to get to hand stitching this. I'll show you at the end. So let's take a trip down memory lane. Remember that live I did a while ago? Let's take a look. My oldest daughter is really into this thing, and I never went for it until I started to look for some fabric for this quilt, because you know I got to make my new grandbaby a quilt, right? She's really into clowns. Weird, right? So she was like, yeah, I want something with clowns in, and she wanted vintage. Now, vintage, I mean, come on. So vintage clowns is what my oldest daughter would like. And of course, you know, I'm going to scan the world for some vintage clowns, right? Wait till you see this. This is really cute. So how do I feel about clown quilts now? Well, they're adorable. So I finished hand stitching the binding all on, and that was new for me, but I did it. Let me encourage you to try something new this week in your quilting that maybe you haven't done just yet. I'm going to be honest with you, I really didn't want to make this quilt at the beginning. At least I didn't feel inspired yet. Until I received that first fabric right here, that fabric of the clowns. Then I started to get really excited, you know, and then things started to flow. I'm really glad that I went with the thicker batting. It just feels so luscious and soft. And I don't know, it may have something to do with this right here, this quadruple gauze that I put on the back. Oh yeah, it probably does have something to do with this right here, because it's soft, friends. I mean, soft. Look at your screen right now. I've totally linked how to make this quilt on the screen. Go check it out. If you found any value at all in today's video, go ahead, click that subscribe button so that, you know, we can keep learning together. Until next time on the Sewing Channel, take care.